No way. No way. So I can't believe we're here already. It feels like we've come back to my natural habitat. I think this is one of my favourite times ever. It's literally just sitting here and we get to watch a new series together and analyse it all and experience it all together. Ahsoka Tano is someone who's been with us for so many years now, and therefore she's so sacred to us. We know the weight and the power what her character holds in regards to relations with Anakin and Obi-Wan and the Jedi, etc., etc. So much has happened with the character, from Clone Wars to Rebels to Mandalorian. So the weight for this to be really good for me is really high. That's not an unfortunate thing, it's just a realistic thing, and I just really hope that this is done in a way which is unique to a character and in line with Star Wars as well. I think by this point you all know sort of how I feel about the other TV series. It's just that it's missing that movie element, and it doesn't add up for the gravitas that it should have for these certain characters. It's not conveyed as well as I think it could have been in a movie as it has been in TV shows. So Ahsoka is one of those ones where I'm borderline about, because she's from a TV show and she's continued in TV shows. So having her own TV show, it seemed like The Mandalorian was very well fitted for that format. I think Ahsoka's going to fit nicely in that format as well. I think the episodes are going to be set up where it's going to flow well, and it's going to hopefully do Ahsoka justice. Before we begin, we'll get on to some predictions, but I will say that Dave Filoni, because he's heading this and directing this, this is like his child in a way. Same that the Star Wars movies were George Lucas's child, and he was taught by George Lucas, of course. So I hope there's a lot of that implemented in Dave Filoni's style, direct from the Clone Wars, direct from George Lucas, and it's all mixed up and it makes this amazing creative series. My genuine concern, which is always my genuine concern, is how close is it going to touch on the sequels? Is it going to head in that direction? This is the series which could change everything, and I must say that my fingers are really crossed that I hope that's the case, because if it goes into a brave new direction and takes Star Wars fans to a place that they kind of want to be, somewhere new and exciting with hope, especially for Luke Skywalker as well, then that's just going to be magical, and you're literally just going to spark the match and light the fan base again, and make them feel like there's some hope for Star Wars. If it heads in the sequel direction, then we know the reasoning behind that, I think, and I think that'd just be a poor choice at this point, because it's so derivative of what's come before, in terms of story in regards to the sequel. So I really hope that they don't head down that direction. Ahsoka is the perfect opportunity to create something amazing, something perfect and magical and Star Warsy, and even relive certain amazing moments and feel the nostalgic hits again. There's so much potential with this series and where she goes, and if she goes to the Veil of the Force, the time thing, which isn't really time, it's just a conduit for things that happen, things that were, some things had not come to pass. But that's sacrilege. I'm just so hopeful that Dave Filoni is taking Star Wars and Jon Favreau into something new, something exciting, and it has all the implemented things in there already. It has that feel in the trailers. There's something about this which just gives me, I don't know, a glimmer of hope. And when they regard in the trailer to an upcoming war, if Thrawn comes back and then there's going to be a war, I hope they're not referring to like the merging of the First Order, the creation of the First Order. I know that a lot of that was hinted in Mandalorian with Praetorian Guards, etc., and a couple of other nods, but I really hope this goes in a completely different direction. I really do hope that with all my heart, and it's just, I say that because of Luke Skywalker. It's because I love Luke Skywalker, I love Mark Hamill. They're people who are they are sacred to me and to my growing up, and to see what how he was in the sequels. It's just something which I can never quite get over. And this is sort of the last TV series which might, if they show Luke Skywalker at all, there could be something very special and just emotional and can give hope to a character that we all loved. And I really hope there's that chance and opportunity to do so. But then I kind of don't want it to steer so far away from Ahsoka, because as much as I'm longing for, and I'm going against my grain saying this, I'm longing for the nostalgic flashbacks with all my heart. I want all of that, but at the same time, I think Star Wars is also in a place where it needs to create new iconic things, so in years to come you will also have those nostalgic things, because I don't want to keep living off, in terms of Star Wars, of the past. I really hope that there's something that I could build upon my obsession and also let it flourish. And I think enjoying those old moments more than new moments, I mean, I'll always enjoy the old moments forever. I don't think anything could surpass it. But if you understand what I mean in that respect, I'd really like, to have all those sort of characters which I love, like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, etc., and my love for those to feel the same with sort of new characters as well that Star Wars created, to have that sort of epic feel. I mean, Zeb is kind of one who's sort of become iconic from Rebels, and that's a good take for this as well. The fact that we saw him in live action as well, the fact we know he survives after Rebels as well. My fingers are very firmly crossed with this. So I think at this point, before we get to reaction, we'll just go for a couple of quick predictions, because there's so many amazing things that can happen. My all-time top number one hope for this is a flashback with live action Anakin Skywalker, live action Ahsoka. That's just going to be... Don't know how I'll take that, but I think that's purely because of my love for them in the Clone Wars and the relationship there and the voice actors there. I think to see that on screen and see their portrayal come to life is just going to be so magical. And obviously anything with Hayden Christensen as well is just already nostalgia filled, and that would be very magical. And my support for him has always just been at the very top, because I think he's an amazing guy, and I love Anakin Skywalker as well. So I think to have him brought into this show and give him all the love that band deserves for the prequels, I think that would be a really nice gesture and be so fitting for the show. I mean, you cannot have this show without an abundance of references to Anakin Skywalker. Also, it could play off that character a little bit, because being trained by Anakin Skywalker, there's this sort of line, which follows Yoda and then Dooku, sort of skipped Qui-Gon, skipped Obi-Wan, but then Anakin Skywalker. It's like it was referenced before by Ki-Adi-Mundi in Clone Wars, of the seeds of the dark side being implemented. And it'd be very interesting if there was some challenge or test that Ahsoka goes to. So that would sort of see a little bit of that. That'd be very cool and interesting, because Anakin's style, he sort of lives through Ahsoka at this point, I'd say. So there'd be really nice touches. There's so much you could do there. It'd be so exciting. My second one is also, Thrawn, but we know he's coming back. He's got to come back in this, but the way he's used, for him to be heading the Empire, is quite an exciting prospect. I mean, I know it was all defeating. You don't want to diminish the ending for Return of the Jedi, but the remnants could be something new. Not the First Order, but it could be something exciting, and that's a perfect time for Thrawn to, do his thing. I do feel like when Thrawn went in the Outer Reaches and was lost, and Ezra, I feel like maybe Ahsoka should have actually done that as well, because then that makes sense as to why Luke Skywalker fought Darth Vader by himself and had this struggle by himself, being the last of the Jedi you will be, according to Yoda. So, yeah, and then for them all to sort of come back, and yeah, that would have been quite a nice idea there as well. But also Ezra, like, I really would like to see Ezra come back in full force, and just because we know how great he was in Rebels, and to see him in live action and to see a continuation of his story, we cannot deny at the end of the Rebels it was a tearjerker. Like, it was something that hit you hard and impactful, and you felt this real journey and struggle, and by the end of it you just literally thought, gosh, like did that all just happen? You realise how connected you were to the characters and the story, especially with Kanan sacrificing himself there as well. So it's calling for a reunion of the Rebels, and that would be completely magical. And because I feel like would be such a nice idea as well, is to have Obi-Wan Kenobi in a flashback or something there as well with Anakin and Ahsoka. Just go all out with that. I would love that so much. That would just be completely magical. But yeah, I think a Luke Skywalker cameo, a whole episode dedicated to the Force and Luke and what he's up to now, would be quite magical there. I think that would be really nice. But to see all of the Rebels back together, the team get back together, yeah, that would be so amazing. I'm so excited for this. Honestly, I could keep speculating and wishing and hoping. The fact this is made from Dave Filoni, I have really high expectations. And in Dave Filoni we trust, as I always say. I think he will understand the gravitas of this story and the character, and he wants to do it justice as much as possible. And I hope there's no sort of TV implementations and modern day reminders that sort of take you out of it. I just don't want any of that. I'd just love to be immersed in this and know that it was just created, and everything is created for the story. I think that's probably the best way to put it. I think we've speculated and talked for a reasonable amount of time.
You have done well.
I love this so much, getting to watch it together, and I also love the fact that we're back in Star Wars time, and knowing that this is kind of like the last series for a while. I don't know if when the new Tales of the Jedi comes out, which was also said it was going to happen at Star Wars Celebration, but then all the other Star Wars movies were announced as well, whether that actually happened as well. Who the hell knows? No one will quite ever understand if there's truth in whatever is going to be released in the future, but my thinking at the moment that Ahsoka is the last TV show and Star Wars thing that we're going to get in a very long time. So we're going to enjoy it a lot. I am anyway. Let's watch. Very interesting. We get our own very unique Star Wars crew. Should have gone out that way, not up that way. But they're being different. It's already off to a great start. It's the upside as opposed to downside of the Imperial Star Destroyer shot. It's like poetry. It rhymes. We know that ship.
I'm calling it bluff.
I don't believe them to be anyone good. I feel like they're the bad ones. Too many Star Trek references there. Not for Star Wars fans. Oh god. You know this is just going to be chaos within a second. They're going to walk out for some point in the trailer. Is that always seen?
Just some overconfident Imperial trash who just pushed their luck too far. You're making a mistake. And you, sir, should have surrendered.
Well.
You're right about one thing, Captain. We are no Jedi.
Negotiations were short. There's something about how she moves with her saber I really like. You know, again, flashbacks. We've been at the cinema for Rogue One. Hello. Hello. What have we here?
You are true to your word.
And well paid for it, Lady Morgan.
Well, that's a good way to set up your villains. Very nicely. And we're off to a good start, I'd say. Now that's a title which interests me greatly. She looks so amazing, honestly. She looks even more like Ahsoka than she did in Mandalorian. That's pretty awesome. It's so strange because everything feels completely fresh and new because we don't really know what's going on. It's a great feeling. She looks so good, honestly. One thing I will mention quickly, I love that Kevin Kiner is doing the music for this. Same as Clone Wars, same as Rebels, now in Ahsoka as well. I'm looking forward to some musical references, hopefully. Did she just sign into Xbox? Ahsoka Tano's caught the golden snitch. Rebels win.
Give it to us.
Is that a droid Kylo Ren voice? It's always great to see droids, in my opinion. To have sort of Magna style droids. Pretty awesome. Oh man. Wow, seriously, her fighting style just gave me like huge chills. Time to go. Now that's when I call shit. And I love hearing David Tennant. I was literally just thinking, why don't those self-destruct droids actually have a serious impact? Honestly, I have a great fear that I'm going to absolutely love this show.
Let's just say I didn't follow standard Jedi protocol.
Over.
Copy. Incoming transmission, priority 1. There's been an incident.
Sorry, I just had sort of rebel flashback. My god, is that Return of the Jedi Rebel Fleet? That's Obi-Wan Kenobi's wife.
General Syndulla,
Sea otters.
good to see you. And Ron.
Rosario Dawson has morphed into Ahsoka even more.
Ron died at the battle of his return.
There's
led
just
me to
something
Morgan.
about her. She looks even
Great
better.
ally of Thrawn's during Imperial rule.
Council is requesting an update on the incident.
Tell him I'll be right there.
In Sector 3-7. We are, oh my goodness. Wow.
On this day, several years ago, the Empire was defeated. Thanks to the heroic efforts of Commander Ezra Bridger, and commitment never be forgotten.
That's brilliant. Isn't that the Savage
Here to
Press?
say a few
The
words
Savage Press
is one
actor.
of those rebel leaders. Where is she?
I don't know. She was.
Is she?
Where did she go?
I don't know.
Find her now.
Seriously, just everything that I'm seeing so far, it's so good. Seeing it all in live action, it's like, it's made everything real from the series and Rebels, and seeing it in live action, it just makes everything come to life. I'm not sure about the music choice here. You know how I feel about orchestral music. Yeah, it sounds a bit Return of the Jedi.
This is Spectre 2-1. This is Spectre 2-1.
I love their source effects ones. They're really cool. Reminds me of Battlefront and Brood when they had the blue, similar N1 starfighters.
Stand down, Commander.
I really thought they were going to do a speeder faster than the ship joke there, so I'm glad they didn't.
What's she doing?
I suppose this is more towards the younger audiences, maybe. I know, you know, Dave Filoni knows.
Hey, Sabine. Sorry for disappearing on you.
Hearing his theme.
I made this recording because you're like a sister to me. I know your fight isn't over.
I always thought they were boyfriend and girlfriend. I was hoping they would be anyway. By my reckon, there was a massive explosion there, so I thought there'd be black singes along the temple, maybe.
What was this place?
The Night Sisters of Dathomir.
Makes
You're a
sense for
witch.
the voices.
A survivor.
Wow. Well, that's a brilliant idea for a character. No, it makes perfect sense why she was fighting
Not much left back there.
Ahsoka and the
Jedi has
Mandalorian.
the map. Ahsoka Tano's former apprentice is on the Thal. You're looking for Sabine Wren.
I knew it. I flippin' knew it. I said it in the trailer. So Sabine was force sensitive then. So where we thought it was Master and Apprentice as in Ahsoka and Anakin, it's probably Ahsoka and Sabine.
We missed Sabine. Everyone was there.
Not everyone.
Greetings, Sabine.
God, I never quite get over Savage
Hello,
Opress
gang.
either.
Still in one piece?
Oh, yes. And still 75% original parts.
Credit
Well,
chips are meaningless without
no
a
one would
plan.
design a map
You all know
honestly.
that map's not staying here. That map's off.
Nice. But this one, in the last 500 years, I've only known one student who built a saber such as this. Balin Skoll. He disappeared at the end of the Clone Wars, like so many Jedi.
When God, I am the last of the Jedi.
Apprentice.
You will be. Is it Ahsoka who's going to be bringing all the Jedi back? So there'd be Ahsoka, Sabine, Ezra. She's done a runner. And then Luke Skywalker would have trained nobody. Didn't even get Grogu. Boy, Gus, leave. Boy. Please get on a Darth Maul speeder.
Anakin never got to finish my training. Before the end of the Clone Wars, I walked away from him,
I thought I heard a slight Imperial March motif.
the Jedi.
Here comes the bad Jedi. I never understand the metal droid and someone's smacking it with their flesh. General Grievous and Obi-Wan when Obi kicks Grievous and hurts it, and that's probably more. No. Put it on. Your helmet, not the lightsaber, put in your helmet. The lightsabers are looking good again. In fact, the lightsabers are looking perfect. Come on, Ahsoka. Oh, she's been very well trained so far. Finish the job, Ahsoka. No way. No way. No. How? Why? Bloody hell. That's nice. There's already like a Thrawn-ness to the music intertwined with Ahsoka's theme. I very much like that. Sorry, but I thought there was a name in the credits there that I do not wish to see. Well, my reaction to episode 2 will come immediately after this video, once I've finished editing it, if you're watching it and got to this point so far. But first episode, how first episodes go, one that was I think 55 minutes, or is episode 55 minutes? Well, that was about 50 minutes, which I think is a perfect runtime for a show like this, so nothing feels really elongated, then again nothing feels completely rushed. There's so many good startups in this, and I can't help but be reminded with the first episodes of Rebels, where I remember I didn't quite, after coming straight from the Clone Wars, I didn't quite feel as connected as I wanted to with Rebels because of this sort of slowness and approach to looking at the characters more and feeling how the characters are feeling, whereas the Clone Wars has to encompass the entire universe, literally, and all the consequences of it. But it also had those character moments within episodes. But this really did nicely focus in on Ahsoka, Sabine. I thought they were really nice sort of introductions for the story for the rest of the show. I don't know how to explain it. It's really, I don't know what they've done, but Rosario Dawson looks even better as Ahsoka in this. I think maybe her things have changed. Something looks different, the costume, but it looks more like Ahsoka Tano than Ahsoka Tano has ever looked like Ahsoka Tano. And there's something really special about that. Even the finer intricacies, the details, the way she moves around, the combat was really nice. Like when she was fighting those droids, that scene was really good. And the fact that it wasn't just, they could have easily just gone, oh, it's an ancient Sith temple, but it was an ancient Night Sister stronghold temple, which already is interesting. And then also the bad woman, she's also a Night Sister, which gives more legit reason for her combat skills in The Mandalorian, which I like there as well. Maybe that was already said that she was Night Sister, but that was the first time I heard about it anyway. So there's always like this reasoning, there's links, which I'm pretty sure Dave Filoni sets up. And I'm kind of just going on speculation here, but sort of the rebirth of the Night Sisters in a way, and the return to Dathomir would be quite interesting. That could be her goal, and maybe there's something that Thrawn holds that could achieve that goal for her, and that's why she wants to bring him back. So there's sort of motives all the way around. I love the lightsaber fight with Ahsoka and the droids, even though it was brief, but it was just the way, her style, and just the way she moves and these small things that she does with her. I was watching her like a hawk, basically. I was studying everything and knowing what we've seen for Ahsoka. She was sort of different in The Mandalorian. It was still quite new and fresh, bringing something from Clone Wars to live action. That's a massive feat, but here she looks really comfortable and grounded in the character, which is what I like. And Ahsoka seems like Ahsoka. I think maybe because they're longer, actually. Maybe she's looks wiser than how she should have been anyway. But the fact that Sabine was trained as her apprentice, I mean, obviously I'm naturally going to think the title of it, it was going to be Anakin and Ahsoka, which was very naive of me, really. But like I speculated, the trailer action, like, it makes perfect sense because she picked up the dartsaber, she learned how to wield it, and she actually did pretty well training with it and fighting against Ezra. So there's that connection there, and the fact, my reasoning is the Ghost Squad did so well purely because of the skill and the talent and everyone, but there's got to be a reasoning behind that. I think Kanan, obviously Force sensitive, Ezra Force sensitive, and don't you just think, even though it was kind of nice just to have sort of a bounty hunter Mandalorian as part of the crew as well, but also I see it as a way of like the Force bringing these people together, and they were meant to be together. So her sort of being Force sensitive and trained to be a Jedi, it's like they were meant to sort of find each other in a way. There's just sort of a different reasoning, which I kind of like the narrative to that. I think that's kind of quite nice. In terms of like the styling of this show, there's one thing which I was always quite impressed with Andor, was how it felt like it was, even though maybe the set pieces weren't as Star Warsy as I would like, it's the style of a lot of the stuff. It felt like it was in Star Wars and fresh out the movies. Ahsoka definitely has that certain style, like a bit more unique, and feels more like it's in from Rebels to this. And I think because I'm not wanting it to be a movie or hoping it for it to be a movie, like I said before, because Rebels was a TV series, it makes sense that this would feel like that, but it hasn't even felt like a TV series. It just feels like a strange thing that your brain has done, has sort of ignored the fact that this was ever an animated series, and it's taken live action for granted, so to speak. Like, you haven't even seen the transition, and that to me is the biggest compliment for this episode, is that you haven't even noticed, really, apart from the voice actors, that this is a continuation of her Rebels Season 3, which I absolutely love so much as well. Ray Stevenson, sorry, I think it was, his character in there is already compelling, starts off really well, and it just kind of makes me, I like that it was dedicated to him. I think the whole series should be, really. But see the sort of fruits of his work, you know, and everything he's done here. He looks like a really nice, interesting character, one I'd want to see quite a lot more explored, and the fact that he's not going to be around to see that is quite sad, really. But I think it would be nice, of course, if he was able to be in this position where he could see all these reactions. I'm sort of mindfully aware of that as well, so I suppose like pay more respect to that fact there as well. I think he's a very compelling character and be a very nice an antagonist, for this show, and his apprentice there as well. I think that was nice. But Sabine again walked with a lightsaber immediately. Now there's two ways to think of this. One, wow, that was quite a ending there, but obviously we know Sabine cuts her hair because we saw it in the trailer. If we didn't see that in the trailer, then we would literally be on our seats right now for literally a second before we go into the next episode. But also, it's this whole lightsaber thing of like, no one actually really dies from lightsabers anymore. It's like they're so diminished in that respect. You can almost argue against that for like Darth Maul, for example, that he was taught and surprisingly so powerful in the ways of the dark side of the Force, that he was able to, you know, withstand and survive. And that's why Palpatine was impressed. That sort of legitimizes those actions, but everyone getting done with lightsabers all the time. You know, there's you've got to make the lightsaber always feel like the most powerful weapon and formidable weapon. Everyone's got a lightsaber, and yeah, you're done for. And that's only because of we know what lightsabers do. But if we know that it keeps fixing people up, etc. Qui-Gon took a wound like that, remember? Qui-Gon Jinn, Jedi Master, Qui-Gon, straight in the chest, Qui-Gon. And if she survives from that, then I'm going to be sad for Qui-Gon. But yeah, I think overall, even the music, Kevin Kiner has obviously done the music for this as well. It's a really nice first chapter, part one, sorry, I think this one's in parts now, obviously going to be different. But yeah, it was a great part one. Hope you enjoyed the reaction. The next video is going to be on straight after this. So remember, until I see you again in 10 seconds, the Force will be with you always.